It's S-Man here, back at it again with a brand new video. Now, before we get right into this review, make sure you guys like, subscribe, leave a comment, because we're finally caught up, hopefully. I recorded this like right after, back to back with the other Liko episode, so hopefully we are caught up, and I'd actually edit this on time. Now, I gotta say, when I first watched this episode, it didn't really hit me. But then, like, I sat there thinking about it, and I'm like, wait a minute. This episode was like setting up that we're back. We're back focusing on the actual Horizon story, and we might be done with the constant, really well-written battles with like the most mid choreography ever. Like, finally, like, I love the fact that we were getting to explore Paldea. But here's the thing, I felt like it was getting old because it was just the same formulaic stuff ever. I'm happy they started throwing in the failures, but like, hey, when we're in Paldea for like 30 episodes and the only things that really happened were battles and a couple evolutions, yeah, like no catches, no real plot progression besides the kids getting development on battles, but then losing the next battle and then learning something new about battles. Hopefully they do end up getting their Terror Orbs, because as we can see from this episode, they might actually need it to even stand a chance against the Explorers, or else this whole arc would have been pointless! Sorry. No, but I did enjoy this arc, but it seems to be coming to an end now with, like, basically what this episode sets up, and the next couple episode titles seems like, yeah, I don't know. It's just my main problem with this arc is I felt like the original Horizons was paced so well compared to this, where it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do like 3 straight episodes of battles and then like a bunch of fillers. I feel like this arc would have been like handled better if we get like fillers in between the battles, like we did for the final set of battles, aka we got an episode of filler, then the dot battle, an episode of filler, then the double episode for Roy, then we just weren't right here. Like, we needed some more filler. Like, this episode, what their plot was, would have been an interesting episode, and maybe like could have led to a cool fight with those Spiritombs that sit on the top of the mountain. But yeah, instead of ranting about the previous of this arc, let's get right into it by like mentioning what happens in this episode. But like I said, I was iffy about this episode, but then like I started thinking, we watched some of it, and I realized like the implications of what's set up in this episode, and I love it. This is probably one of my favorite episodes now. But yeah, after Liko's lost, they find a way for them to cheer her up, so they decide, hey, let's go climb up the mountain, because the peak of the mountain is one of Paldea's like 7 mysteries of Paldea, which I think, yeah, because that was in the game. Like, you go to the top of the mountain, there's the little sign, the Gimme Ghoul, then as you start going down slightly, there's all the like Spiritombs that you can fight and catch. Like I mentioned, we're like, oh, what if there was an episode where they went to the mountain and fought a Spiritomb? Then Roy catches it. No, I would rather like not catch it. But yeah. Meanwhile, while this is happening, my goat Spinel finally returns. I've been waiting for him to return since like that whole like fight with Freed. Spinel is constantly the best character in the show, and I was so I didn't like that Freed episode that much, where it's like, oh, he goes to his old job and like explores the Rookeryum. But that episode ending with Spinel just like saying, oh, I have it, that got me excited to see what he was gonna do. But then we got like fillers. But now Spinel is back and he has a plan. But while Spinel is watching these kids, I just realized the implication of that. Amethio was actually searching for him, because at the end of the Freed episode, it also was set up that Amethio was actually going to be like keeping an eye on Spinel, because Spinel and all the other explorers have like this like alliance that's been established where they exclude Amethio for some reason, which is revealed later in the episode. So yeah, and Spinel is the main person who excludes Amethio because he just freaking hates him that much, which I gotta say, that's respectful, and W levels the hate. But yeah, Amethio is now on the mountain because he was able to track down Spinel here, and Spinel's here because he has a new plan to unleash on the kids. And yeah, they start climbing the mountain. We get little details about all of them, or Roy's like the one leading the charge and doesn't get tired. Dot is drained second, surprisingly, and is drained, so Quaxwell is just pushing her forward. And Liko's kind of drained, but also just out of the entire experience, so Florigato is just like holding her, helping her along the way. But that's because of Liko being out of it. Spinel is able to use that to his advantage, where he's able to get Liko separated from the group without her even noticing. By having Agate, who ditched her teaching job, I guess. What was the point of having her as a teacher? I don't really see the point of that, because, yeah, but from what we learned, Spinel wanted the other 3 explorers to be keeping tabs on the kids while he went to go find Rucrium and, like, make his new plan. But you even see here, Agate seems to be the closest explorer he's with. So why did he also send her to school? Maybe because he doesn't trust Coral. But that also leads to another question where I want to discuss later. But yeah. Then, like, so Agate gets them split up while Spinel realizes this is his chance to lead Amethio to where he needs him to be. Spinel gets out of his van and leads Amethio to where he needs him to be for his plan. That's when Roy and Dot realize that Liko's missing and go running around looking for her. Liko then finally realizes she got lost and decides she needs to lock back in. And that's when she suddenly hears footsteps, so she goes chasing after that. Turns out it's Amethio, who was following Spinel and accidentally ran into Liko. Terrapagos immediately sees Amethio and freaks out, which we now have context of why Terrapagos hates this kid so much. It's because he's Gibeon's grandson and Gibeon betrayed Lucius. So that makes sense why Terrapagos has this big hatred for him. But yeah, Amethio then says, "Oh, I'm just gonna battle you, I guess." So I don't really know why I guess that as an opportunity to get the pendant. It just was confusing that he was literally just like after Spinel, and the second he runs into Liko, he drops that to go after Terrapagos again. Liko decides that she needs to battle him to protect Terrapagos, so yeah, Florigato gets sent out, and we get a cool little battle between the two where it's actually pretty even. And it just shows how good of a battler Liko is. That the fact that Amethio, who we even get a flashback of Amethio dog walking Liko and Roy on a 2v1, he dog walked them, and now Liko is able to at least hold her own against him. Imagine if Roy and Dot were here, they would have easily took out Amethio. But yeah, we see Liko use her strategies with acrobatics and having Florigato dodge, and while Amethio keeps going all-out strikes, and it even leads Amethio to the point where he has to terrasilize to even have a chance. And the second he terrasilizes, Liko gets cooked, because for some reason terrasilization is more of an overpowered tool. But yeah, Florigato knocked down, Amethio is about to go for the kill. That's suddenly when Umbreon defends Florigato, and Spinel walks out, and Amethio is just confused why Spinel was protecting Liko. But Spinel reveals he really wasn't, he just wanted to stop their battle. That's when he uses the Rucrium on his Umbreon. Now, before I want to mention what it did to Umbreon, this is what I thought it was going to be. I thought the Rucrium was meant to be like the Terra Crystals you find in the Underdepths, and it was going to lead to all these Pokemon starting to discover the Stellar type. Now, I was completely wrong. The second he pulled it out, I expected Umbreon to get the Stellar type and take out both the kids, but no. Umbreon goes berserk. Like, it straight up goes feral and one-shots Scarlet while it's in its terrestrial state. What? That's actually just a crazy discovery. And I don't know if Spinel even fully knew what it did, because later in the episode he said this was just an experiment to see the whole like him countering Liko and like trapping Amethio with her was meant to be an experiment to see what the Rucrium does. And we also get a really interesting tidbit of that. We know Rucrium comes from Rucola, which was implied to be Terrapagos and Lucius's home. But when Amethio pulls out the Rucrium, Terrapagos gets pissed and he starts like tweaking out on Amethio. So what's the connection there? And we even see later on, Terrapagos straight up goes into its Terra form and takes out Umbreon and destroys the Ruko because of how much it hates it. So is Terrapagos not from Rukoa and actually from Area Zero? And is Area Zero not Rukoa? That's what my question is. Like I said, this like episode really gets me, like, after thinking about it, like, it really gets me excited for what to see. And the fact that Rukoa just causes Pokemon to go feral, like, straight up, if I'm curious to see on a Pokemon that isn't Umbreon, because Umbreon, like, starts, like, you know how, like, the cat, like, whenever, or, like, even a dog, like, whenever it gets tense, like, my dog, she used to, like, whenever she got tense, like, her hairs would all stick up, and the same thing with a cat. That's what happened to Umbreon. And its eyes were already red, but I'm curious if a Pokemon, like, let's say, like, if this was a Amethio Scarlet, would Scarlet just get red eyes? Because I saw someone on Twitter mention this earlier. So I don't remember who, I apologize, I would love to give them credit, but they compared what Umbreon did to basically the Alpha Pokemon in Legend Arceus. And we know that Gideon's ace is the Shiny Zygarde. So what if this is basically a tease for how to basically explain Alpha Pokemon and also set up how Pokemon are going to be like Alpha in the next game. If you get what I mean. And maybe we even see Terrassalization in the next game, and that's the only way to counter this like weird berserk Pokemon flow. But yeah. Moving on, Terrapagos straight up uses all its energy to destroy the Root Room, which Spinel is surprised about, and he thinks it, and he just like plays it off by like recalling Umbreon and then running away. What a great move. So then Amethio wants to know what he's doing, so he chases after him, and Liko also wants to know because he basically just showed up, set Terrapagos off with some crazy rock, and now and runs. Like, Liko needs to figure out what the explorers are up to, and the kids, like they said, they want to explore what the explorers are. We also see gimlets. I don't know what this has to do with anything, but I just thought it was interesting that they ran into the cave and saw it. Could this cave potentially lead them to Area Zero? I doubt it because of the mountain's location and vicinity from Area Zero, but it definitely would be an interesting like way to solve basically the problem that's established here. So yeah, Spinel runs deep into the cave. Amethio chases after him. Liko follows. Amethio's like, "Why are you following me?" Liko wants to. They basically have the same goal, so they have like this kind of alliance, kind of not, but it's basically just meant to basically figure out what Spinel's doing. Amethio wants to find out because all the explorers isolate him, and Liko wants to find out for the safety of her and the Volcactors. Then they arrive to the center of the cave. That's when Spinel reveals himself, blocks off the cave, and just straight up teleports out. That is my GOAT right there. And then he meets up with Agate where he reveals to her what happened with the Root Room, and she says, "Oh, so you wasted it?" But he actually mentions to her, "No, we were wrong about Terrapagos. Terrapagos was the one who destroyed it and went like haywire because I used it." And Agate actually mentions that this is going to be like very interesting and they got to tell the boss. But then he also mentions that he trapped Terrapagos down there along with Liko and Amethio. And that's when they say this. And that's when they mention that they know Amethio is Gideon's grandson, which I was under the impression none of them knew, and they just thought he was some random ass kid getting special attention. So I guess Coral's the only random ass kid getting attention. That also makes me interested. Why do they not like... I get why they don't like Amethio, because they think he's a kid, he's immature, and he's like there for nepotism. But why do they fed up with Coral? Because like we even see the only reason Onyx is at the academy is because Coral couldn't be trusted by herself, and they needed like somebody to watch over her and be like the man on the inside. Because I genuinely think Agate could have done it by herself, but then they also wanted a student, so they were like, "Oh, Coral's young enough to be a student, but she's too unstable," so they had to send Onyx. But yeah, they trapped down Amethio, and they said he's not going to get in the way of their plans this time. He didn't really get in the way of their plans last time. They've basically failed already, and he showed up to basically help fight Rayquaza. And because at that point all the explorers had ran and it was only the Volt Tacklers, it just had to be him who do it. So yeah, that's when we get a scene near the end of the episode of Roy and Dot warning Freed that Liko is going missing. So Freed goes to investigate, and as soon as Roy and Dot go to look, who shows up? Sandwich and Onigiri, ready for a fight. But no, they're tired of hiding. They finally reveal they're the explorers. No way. Why does Roy look shocked? I thought this has been established that they knew they're explorers for the longest time. But yeah, episode ends. Them about to fight the explorers. Roy and Dot, and Liko and Amethio trapped in a cave. Liko unable to contact their friends, and Tarapago starts tweaking out on Amethio. What is going to happen next episode? We're just going to have to find out next week. Overall, really freaking good episode. Like, really, really good. This review is about to be so long, but it's worth it because it's a really good episode. It's really good setup. Hopefully, this doesn't go like next episode where like, oh, Amethio and Liko talk for like 5 minutes, leave the cave like without doing anything. Meanwhile, Roy and Dot just take out the explorers. Nothing happens. I really hope this doesn't like be underwhelming, like build up for the next episode, because this was a really good episode, and I always hate when like they'll end an episode on a really good cliffhanger just for the next episode to like underwhelmingly resolve that cliffhanger. Like there have been episodes that like have like really good like resolutions to what their cliffhanger was, like Spinel mind controlling Liko. That was a really good cliffhanger and a really good resolution where we had a whole episode of Liko like forgetting who she is and slowly regaining her memories before they finally figure out what happened and go after the pendant. That was like a good setup. But then we have set up like Rayquaza crashing into the Rising Volt Tackler ship with everyone still on it, and it basically crashing. Like it's like falling to the ground. Potentially everyone on the ship's gonna die. Just for Murdoch to like not even in like within like the first 20 seconds of the next episode, Murdoch just lands the ship and says, "Oh yeah, we're all fine. Go back to the battle." What was the point of ending the episode on that? Like, it built up the Terrassel arc because they needed to repair the ship. But still, like, that build-up was meant to, like, it basically set up stakes within the fight for Rayquaza. Like, that whole crew could potentially die, almost died. They were all on that ship. Except for Dot, because she had just jumped off. But yeah. Overall, great build-up. Great to see Amethio back. Finally, my boy Spinel is back. Spinel is like my favorite character. Spinel is a top 5 character. For me right now, like I'm being 100% genuine, besides the kids and Freed, Spinel is literally the best character on the show. I think it's, in my opinion, it's like Liko, Freed or not, depending on, like, not Freed right now. Early Freed was so good, but current Freed is so just not there because it's not his arc. But current Dot is so much better than early Dot. So they're interchangeable. Spinel, Roy. Then Nemona, because Nemona's my go. But yeah. Spinel, happy to see it. The whole, like, Rukium stuff, like, the whole tease with Rukium, so good. I can't wait to see how they're gonna... Because what if... Hold on. What if the way they do combat those, like, berserk Pokemon from the Rukium is the Stellar type? What if that's how you deal with them? Because we saw that it was able to one-shot a regular Terrassel Pokemon. So what if the whole crew has to go beyond and use Stellar type? That would be so cool. I plugged that. That's my theory. That's my theory how they're gonna beat it. But yeah. Let me not drag this video along any longer. This episode was another 10 out of 10. 2 in a very short span, surprisingly. But yeah. Hope you guys like this video. Subscribe for more content like this in the future because Horizons is like kicking back off again. Jesus Christ, let's go.